achievements have always been a very important part of every single game. I know that might not like seem true because like what are achievements, right? Or like advancements or badges or whatever you want to call them. They're just these like fake awards that are given to you when you do something in the game or just when something happens in the game in general. And with the exception of like the occasional rare game, achievements don't even give you anything. They're only there just so you can kind of show to other people like, hey guys, I defeated the dragon 500 times, haha. But even as I was describing this technically stupid and useless feature, you probably kind of like that. Like, I mean, I don't know, like if you defeat the dragon 500 times, like, and you get a cool little badge or whatever, it's just cool, right? It's just nice to get rewarded, even in the form of these useless achievements, for doing various things in certain games. In fact, I'm sure you have your own favorite achievement. Or I mean, maybe not favorite, because I don't think anyone just has like a top 3 achievement list in their head at all times. But like, think about the first notable achievement that comes to mind. Why is it notable for you? What makes this achievement stand out for you? Was it because you were given this achievement at like a big part in the story or the game? Or maybe you spent some time grinding towards getting this achievement. Like, I know there are people who like do achievement hunting, trying to get like all achievements in the game, which I don't know, I think that's kind of stupid, but I guess you do you. But I'm not making this video just to talk about achievements, right? Well, I mean, I kind of am, right? But I want to show you how you could make a good achievement. Like an achievement that actually sticks with you and feels memorable instead of just like, oh, I guess I have this now, whatever. So right now, my only goal is to design my own achievement, or I don't know, badge or advancement, or like I said, like different like games call them different things. And while obviously, I don't have like a fully fledged finished game over here, I'll basically just make a template of a good achievement. And in there you could copy it and fill in the blanks for your own game. Alright, so number one important thing is we need to understand how to actually add achievements to the game, or as Roblox calls them, badges. In case you're like the one person who isn't too sure what exactly I'm talking about here, somehow, badges are effectively Roblox's version of achievements. So like, have you ever like, been just playing a random Roblox game like ha 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 ha, and then you maybe collect 50 fruit or something, I don't know, and then you get this like achievement in this like bottom right corner that says, good job, you collected 50 fruit, and it's called like Fruitlicious or something, and like the icon is like an apple with the number 50 or whatever. That's effectively what I'm going to be making here. Now look, I'm using Roblox Studio, but like this isn't a video about game engines, it's about achievements, right? So even if you use Unity, even if you use Godot or like Unreal Engine, this advice should still carry over. Unless Roblox Studio magically makes every achievement better, I don't know. And so look, as I show you how to actually script these badges, even if you're not someone who scripts or is interested in that sort of thing, I still think that this is something you should pay attention to. Now obviously I want more viewer retention, duh. But also it's just because like, if you know how the process works, which it's very simple, there's nothing complicated. But this is just done so you can like avoid any simple misconceptions you might have about like what it takes to actually make a badge or achievement. And then you can use that knowledge in your head for when you want to either create your own achievement or like suggest an achievement to someone else's game. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So creating a script, very simple. And so then we need to access this thing called the game badge service. Okay, like I said, Roblox calls them badges. And I'll be honest, I'm not too sure why they had to make a whole new service for badges. Like I feel like using marketplace service for this would have been fine. But I guess that's just how Roblox does things. So there are 4 main functions that we kind of want to put our focus on. The first one is the most important one, and I'll let you guess what this one does. This function requires the ID of the player who we want to actually give it to, and then the ID of the actual badge. Then we have other functions, like this one checks whether the user has a badge. This one gets information about the badge. And then this one basically checks a list of badges for, whatever player. So I'll only be showcasing this function in the video, but I'm just saying if you are someone who actually has like a full Roblox game running, and you are wanting to actually, learn from this video and implement cool badges into your own game, then definitely check all of these out and kind of understand how they work. Which again, they're very simple. It's just like, does user have badge? True or false? Get badge info. Okay, you have some info. Like again, like I said, none of this is complicated stuff, but it's just stuff that's kind of hidden in the Roblox depths. Like not many people look up game.badge service, you know what I mean? But we need to shift our focus onto this award badge. Okay, so first of all, we need the actual ID of the player who we want to give the badge to. Now in a realistic game scenario, you would probably give the badge to a player for doing a certain action. Like maybe for example, let's say whenever the player presses on a part, so maybe I can have a part here, and then I could add a click detector inside of this part, which the OGs will remember hopefully. And then inside of this I'll just add a script. I'll say script.parent being the click detector, mouse click, and then it's gonna give us the player who actually clicked. And we can call this whatever we want. I'll just call this player. And so in a scenario like this is where we would say game, badge service, award badge. We give them the user ID, and you can get this by saying the player and then dot user ID, pretty simple. But then we need the actual badge number, right? And I'm just gonna delete this server script because we don't need it right now. How do we get the badge number? Well, when I first started out scripting, what I thought and what every other player thinks, because this is the rational way of doing things, is that, oh, you could probably add a badge inside of Studio, because that just makes sense and it's convenient, right? And it shouldn't be a struggle to implement. But then Roblox says no, because they're stupid. And then there's like a whole multi-step process of doing this, which isn't difficult. Like, it's not hard, but it is just kind of annoying. So step number 1, go to game settings. Step number 2, save to Roblox. Or I guess step number 2 is filling out all of this information, because like clicking 2 buttons isn't that hard, right? But I mean, I don't know. Badge, test, place, sure. And now after a quick refresh, our game is successfully published to Roblox. And you might be saying like, okay, that step makes sense. I mean, right now this is just a local file, but to actually make a badge, we need it to be on the Roblox server, right? So, okay, fair enough. Let's go to game settings, let's go to monetization, and there we go, we have badge. So if we create a badge, it should let us create a badge right within Studio, right? And it actually doesn't, because it just decides to send you over to the Roblox creator hub for some reason. And the funniest thing is that it doesn't even redirect you to the actual badge, like creator thing. You have to go here, and then you have to click on create badge. And so yeah, for now, let's just make it a test badge, okay? The description will be click on the part to obtain, I don't know. And this needs an image because I cannot create it. I guess let's use one of my thumbnails. Am I allowed to? Yes, perfect. I hope I don't get copyright striked for my own thumbnail. Lovely. So now back in Roblox Studio, right? Not seeing badges, refresh to update. Yeah, test badge, description, beautiful icon. And so to get the ID of this badge, you just simply click here and say copy ID to clipboard. I mean, from here, like a child could understand what's happening. I really don't have to tell you exactly what I'm doing here. And so now, whenever I play the game, if I go and click on this part, badge awarded. Awesome, there we go. And if I click on this again, nothing happens. We already gave out badge, it just automatically gives you an error message. And that is basically it. Once you get past the kind of somewhat annoying badge creation system, that's it. You can just make badges now. But this was never our problem, was it? The problem was that we don't know how to make good ones. Like every idiot can make a badge. But the goal is to actually make it good and memorable for the player. So, you know, boring, annoying code stuff out of the way, let's talk about the fun part of badges, which is like getting very technical with like the types of achievements or badges and like, you know, talking about what makes a badge good or what makes an achievement bad. Or now I'll actually open up a script for this because I feel like it's just more fun to write and talk in a script, because usually I just talk and I just have this blank thing over here, which is kind of boring. And you know, because I bet that some of you have been like reading comments while watching my video, here you go, bro. Let's train your attention span, okay? I'm going to be writing comments for you, okay? Because I guarantee that the 10th comment that you'll see they're talking about edging or whatever they talk about isn't the best use of your time. So I want to start off by saying that there are 3 main types of badges. There's probably like subsections of badges, but that I don't care about that, right? 3 main types. Now, the first type of badge is the story-based badge. Or some people also call this the natural. This is effectively an achievement that you will get just by playing the game. So a great example would be like when you finish the game, you get the achievement. Basically an achievement that you really can't miss if you're actually playing and finishing the game. The second type of achievement is the luck-based achievement. This is an achievement that effectively requires some luck to get. And you know, this could mean luck in like the sense of numbers. Like, I don't know, maybe there's a game where like you click a button, right? And every time you click the button, it turns blue, but then there's like a 0.01% chance that the button turns red. So a badge that's obtained when, you know, the part turns red would be considered a luck-based badge. But in short, these are just achievements that require you to get somewhat lucky. And because of this, a lot of achievement hunters also call them very grindy. And the third type of achievement, which is my own personal favorite, is one which I call curiosity. Did I spell that right? Hopefully. Curiosity rewarding. And this is one I'll talk about a lot more nearing the end of the video, but it's effectively an achievement that rewards the curious player who just decides to go out of the way that the game is trying to push them into and explore on their own. And I would argue that this is the only type of badge that actually has an impact on how the player plays the game. But again, I'll delve into that later. So right now, we need to talk about story-based achievements. And I'll be completely honest, this one is actually very, very hard to get wrong. Because story-based just means like, okay, as the player is playing the game and like big events happen, you just give them achievements for those big events. Where these types of achievements often go wrong is that developers don't exactly understand which event is big or which event is just kind of mediocre. So let me give you a wonderful example. The video game Subnautica has a lot of like, story-based events that happen throughout the game. Or I wouldn't really say story, but like you do need to do these things to actually pass the game. Like these are required. And the two main events of Subnautica is constructing certain vehicles. The first one is called the Seamoth and the second one is called a prawn suit. And both of these are insanely huge achievements. The Seamoth is huge because for the majority of players, it's going to be their first ever vehicle. And it's also going to be a huge upgrade from just swimming around. It's literally going to be portable, breathable air that can also move you around insanely quickly. Like this is a huge deal for a lot of people. And so making this an achievement is insanely smart. Same thing with the prawn suit, which not only was kind of hyped up throughout the game as you were like progressing through the story, but also comes with its own set of, pros and, cool gameplay elements, and is also basically required to finish the game. This is an example of a great story-based achievement, or achievements, I should say. Like, these aren't complicated things, right? You could look at that and like expect like, okay, yeah, duh, when you make like this ship, you might want to get an achievement. But anyone who's played Subnautica can understand the fact that like getting these vehicles was actually a huge driving force for many people. And giving the achievement for the first vehicle makes sense. It's your first ever vehicle. But the thing is, you probably wouldn't actually mind it that much if you didn't get an achievement for making the second vehicle. And if you think like that, then that's a problem, because both times, as someone who's played Subnautica for over like 80 hours, getting both of those vehicles genuinely felt exactly the same. Getting the first vehicle is great because it's the first, but getting the second vehicle feels just as great because it's more powerful. And it's also just a brand new shift because you go from this little submarine to this like huge mech suit that like walks on the ground. And I'm so glad that developers recognized this was a pivotal moment in the game. Now, a bad example would be getting to Subnautica's second game, Below Zero. Below Zero has two main vehicles. The very first vehicle you get gives you an achievement. And like I said before, because that's obvious, you would expect your first ever vehicle to be some sort of achievement. But then there also is a second vehicle that you're able to construct, which actually is like the same mech suit from the first game. And I remember specifically, right, going to certain places in the second Subnautica game, scanning for blueprint fragments to unlock the actual crafting recipe of the prawn suit, and then going and collecting all the various materials that I would need for this prawn suit. And when all of my cumulative effort finally went into making this one mech suit, I got nothing. Like, yeah, okay, I got the mech suit, but I didn't get the advancement, bro. Which is a big problem because the game sets up expectations by giving you achievements for other events that are meant to be big. But in this game, I didn't get the achievement. So it almost felt like the game was telling me that like, okay, yeah, whatever, like what else did you expect? And honestly, I wouldn't be as upset about this if they hadn't made an achievement for installing a jukebox. Like, this is a good achievement, but bro, the mech suit is a little more important, I think. So this is the main thing for every story-based achievement. Understand what is important and what is mid. Installing a jukebox did not warrant an achievement, right? The jukebox is cool, it can play music, it's kind of fun, whatever. But I did not install the jukebox thinking, oh yes, this is an achievement-worthy thing. So yeah, like I said before, this is very simple, but you just need to make sure that for story-based achievements, give them to important elements and not mid-elements. And this is hard, I'll admit, because as a developer, certain elements that might seem important to you will just kind of seem whatever to the player. And vice versa, certain elements that the player might actually get really invested to and care about might just not seem that important to you. And by the way, I'll just quickly say that if like me speaking about all of these cool, like, game development stuff just kind of excites you and, not in that way, pause. And, maybe you've tried developing for a bit or you've just never tried at all, but you're looking to get into it. I have a link in the pinned comment of this video that is for my 6.5-hour Roblox development course. So if you like my teaching style and want all of my knowledge in one big package, then I would recommend you go check it out. The second type of achievement is the luck-based / grindy achievement. And I'll just tell you one thing. Don't make these achievements too grindy. That's it. You could literally do whatever else. If you came here for this type of achievement only, you could leave right now because this is literally the one piece of advice that I'll give you. The reason that I say this is because I feel like a lot of achievements, of this type are added to games because the developers kind of think like, oh yeah, that's kind of pretty cool, right? Like, oh yeah, if the player does these things in this specific order just via luck, then, you know, we could like give them a fun little achievement and reward them. And that's nice, right? I mean, if you're like, you know, the very rare player who happens to stumble upon some lucky event and you get like a cool achievement, it does make you feel cool for discovering that. What happens is that the majority of people with these achievements did not get them through luck. They got them through grinding and achievement hunting. And so when you think about it this way, what you're effectively making is an achievement that literally makes people somewhat dislike your game. And look, I know you can say like, oh yeah, but it's just an achievement, like it's not that important. Look, some people, I don't know, they have like OCD or something and they really want every achievement. So to keep those people in mind, right, to not make your game feel repetitive because some idiot is trying to get some stupid achievement, I would give you 2 ways of fixing this. The first one is honestly kind of a mid fix, but it's just making it less luck based. Like it can still have luck elements in it, but it should just be something that like if someone wants to grind for the achievement and they kind of know where to go, it shouldn't take them that long to actually get the achievement. But the second type of fix, which I would personally recommend, although it takes some thinking, so you know, if that's not something you want to do, just stick to the first one. The second type of fix is to give the players knowledge on how to bypass the luck if they really want to get the achievement. And this game called Outer Wilds is a perfect example of this achievement. So a quick summary of the game is needed for you to understand the achievement, but basically the whole idea is that you're like in a time loop, and whenever you die, you just get sent back to the beginning. So the goal is like, okay, you keep on looping, keep on dying, keep on coming back, keep on coming back, but you come back with new information. And then eventually you compile all of that information together, and then you know exactly where to go and what to do to then finish the game. But what this means is that then, in theory, you should just be able to complete the game on the first ever loop if you just know where to go. And so this is exactly what this achievement is. Finish the game on the first ever loop. And it's called the beginner's luck too. So like, I'm not sure what the developer's intent was behind this achievement, but it's clear that like it could be given to a player who just got insanely lucky on his first ever playthrough and just happened to finish the game by accident. So that would be insane luck, right? But if someone really wants to get this achievement, it doesn't require luck anymore, because you literally just start a new save file and just using the knowledge that you have, you just finish the game on the first loop. So then what happens is that you keep the luck-based element of this achievement, but you don't make it grindy to the point where it just stops being fun. So like I said before, don't make it too grindy. The reason I say not make it too grindy and not just don't make it grindy is because some players do just enjoy the feeling of like grinding through achievements. So you do need to ensure that you find a balance. This is the last type of achievement, and this one has the simplest solution and the hardest implementation. The solution is simple. Reward the player's curiosity. I hope I'm spelling all this correctly. And I know this kind of sucks as advice because that's literally what the name of it means, but there's nothing more I can really say about this. I think the problem with a lot of games is that like they feel very incomplete because there are just certain elements of the game that you can't really put much work into. What I mean by that is like, let's say you make this game and you know, it's kind of like open world-ish, like the player can walk around and, you know, interact with items and do certain things. And even if you try and close off the map, I guarantee that there will still be sections of the map or like, you know, things you could do with the gameplay that you just never really accounted for. So like the most basic example is like, let's say we have a game called click part, right? And then you click a part and you win, hooray. But then what if some like really smart and curious and intellectual player thinks like, oh wait, okay, so I can touch the part, but then what happens if I were to grab this part and then move it to make it touch the spawn location? And then as it's touching the spawn location, what if I try touching the spawn location? Would that work? Obviously, like, this might be a stupid line of thinking to most people. But then the way this player might look at it is like, okay, well, I can click on this part, but I can't click on this part. But then these parts have the same color and material. So what if I connected this part to this part, and maybe they fuse to become one part, and then maybe if I click on the spawn location, then I get like a bonus thing or whatever. The reason this is hard is because you probably didn't even think that I was going to do that. And in a huge game that has a lot of gameplay elements, that has a lot of physical like objects and, you know, things to interact with, the amount of things that players will try and do is literally infinite. Like, I genuinely believe that the number is infinity. So obviously the goal here isn't to account for every potential possibility. The goal here isn't to give the player an achievement whenever they stand in the very middle of the spawn location with the part connected, they move their camera up and then they jump 3 times and then they click twice on the top right corner of the screen, right? Obviously that doesn't warrant an achievement. But what I would do is just play through your game and just play through it as curiously as you possibly could. Or even just give it to a friend or like some playtester. Just give them the task to explore and discover and just be creative with like, the game. And then I guarantee that no matter how simple your game is meant to be, you're gonna get people trying to pull this shit where they're like trying to move a part onto the spawn location and merging it together or something like that. And I know this sounds stupid, right? But this achievement, like I said before, is likely the only one that will actually change the way that the player plays the game. The first one, which is very obvious, is it literally makes the player want to continue exploring. Because when you get rewarded for doing something, you just kind of want to do it more. And as always, we're back to basics. Thank you for watching.